Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrixian, and of course, welcome back to the designer mode, where today, we're going to try our best to make a fully functioning walker. Now, I have made one of these in the past, but it was far too slow, far too weak, and was made of like 90% mimics. It wouldn't really stand up to any firepower. So today, we're going to try and make one a little bit better. Now, off camera, I have actually been doing a lot of testing with different leg types, trying to make them look more natural, and I've came to one conclusion. I am terrible at this game, but I did make a few which looked a bit natural, but they were very unstable and were prone to just randomly messing up out of nowhere, so clearly I need a bit more practice. But I've kind of made a happy half measure, which is going to be a really derpy walker, which works, but isn't as derpy as the one in the previous video, which moved at like 5 meters per second, and every step, it moved a little bit backwards. This one should go at least 10 meters, I'm hoping 15 meters per second, stably. Ish. I'm hoping. At least that's the goal. And I'm going to be sticking to the block limit within Ashes of the Empire, which is 2,000 volume, and we're going to see if we can make something which can at least win a few basic fights. So this will be the first time building this to any real size, and I'm trying to think of how big I actually want it to be. So 2,000 volume isn't as much as you might think in this game. So, if the legs go here, how big would the legs get before it looks a bit silly? Obviously we'll also bulk them out with some armor, but could we get away with maybe that? The longer the legs, the easier a lot of the things I want to do are going to be. Then the mech top isn't going to be humanoid by any stretch of the imagination, so it's going to be more like the last one that is quite flat on top, more of a gun bed on top, but this time it's going to be a separate vehicle. I think I am going to be using two separate vehicles connected, that way the legs have less strain and less chance of messing up. That's the one thing I keep on running into, even when I see other people's designs, which is very rare for me to actually look up other people's designs. It does seem to be an issue of occasionally the legs want to do their own thing. Oh yeah, of course, something to note is that we are now in the new stable branch. This was basically the beta branch we were playing before, but a few small changes, but also a lot of the bugs have been fixed, some of which I did encounter last time, so that is lovely to see. It's very rare to be in the stable branch of From the Depths, and I'm very happy to be back. So the first spin block here. Let's go with 2 of the 4 meter beams. And the second one I'm actually going to have the same size or similar. Probably the same, honestly. It might look a bit weird, I'm thinking about it in my head, but, because it all depends on how it turns, you see. I'm obviously not going with normal proportions of a humanoid thing or whatever. And then the final one, which will be the ankle, will go here. And that doesn't need to be particularly big at all. Let's go with a single 3. This is what's going to lift the clampy foot off the ground once it's fully retracted back. So it looses the clampy foot, the ankle then flies up very quickly using the spin rate controller, then the rest of the leg moves back forwards, the ankle then returns to its original position, and the other side is doing quite literally the opposite, and it's a really simple bit of breadboard. It is literally going to be just 2 commands, A and B. You can add way more to make it look more natural, but I don't care about that today. All I care about today is making something which actually functions. It's gonna look weird, is what I'm saying. So brace yourself, because I ain't a good builder when it comes to looks, or function, or logic. So, like 10 minutes later, and after a brief testing period of far more stable designs, I've decided instead to go with this mess. Because it makes the entire craft look drunk, but what I love about it is it works perfectly. Except for occasionally it's currently catching the armor, but that's because I've armored it wrong at the bottom. And I'm going to call it the Shambler, because it looks like it's had a couple too many beers around the local, and it's slowly shambling home, but soon it's going to be shambling home with missiles and cram cannons and all sorts of heavy armaments. But it does work perfectly. I've just let it run for a while, and there you go, it just did a turn. Oh, how it turns is glorious. It just throws itself into the new direction. That way? Okay, there we are. And it's going. And I love it. I love it to bits. And it just reached its destination. And then it'll do that unless you just turn it off, in which case it just freezes. I mean, it works. perfectly. The breadboard even allows it to stop, like I say. I've just been letting it run around in circles. It would be so easy to make this more stable. Just tweaking the PID, and especially tweaking when the ankle comes down, because that's what's causing it to shamble. The ankle is snapping too much into position. Now, it is snapping early, which it's meant to, but because of how it's doing this, it's causing the whole thing to bounce, which really throws off its center of gravity. But that's going to mean things are going to have a tough time guessing where this is with basic detection, and they might just miss. Of course my first proper walk is going to be drunk. And it's just done 666 damage to itself, apparently. I love it. I really like it. It's so bad. Yeah, too bad we're keeping it. We're keeping the Shambler. This is how it's going to stay. So, yeah. It's a real simple breadboard as well. It's just that the main joint here, then the middle joints are just alternating, and when it goes back, the middle joint's trying to go a bit forwards. When it goes forwards, the middle joint goes backwards, but when it goes backwards, it's less intense. And then the two ankles, which are just snapping into place, breaking bone every time it steps, they are activating just a little bit earlier than the midpoint. And that's it. I absolutely adore it. Leaving it. Okay, let's work on this then. So what I need to do is armor up the core properly. I have added some fuel, some really basic engines. They're literally just the prefabs. Because I'm thinking maybe a basic shield system just for the core, or just for the legs. I'm not too sure. Well, actually, it wouldn't be too bad for the legs. What we could do is have a shield just run down the length here, because it's quite spindly. And that wouldn't be very expensive. So 2 shields here and here, and I think it'd look quite cool as well. Could have it on both sides. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to have two separate robots here, 2 separate vehicles, or just a single one. Either way, I'm still going with the 2000 volume. Even if I use 2, I'm not allowing myself to have more than 2000 between them. This is legal to do in the campaign. You can easily go over 2000 that way, but I'm just not going to. Let's see if I can get this functional. I just want it to run at a target, just firing everywhere, occasionally hitting, and kill something. Okay, so it stops on command pretty quickly. And let's make sure it can turn okay, despite its shambly nature. Okay, it definitely turned. Turning, yeah. Still catching the armor at the bottom, but that's to be expected until I sort that out. I mean, it works really well. Look at that turning, it's fantastic. Oh, this needs some really derpy weapons. I'm thinking unguided rockets, I'm thinking maybe like a mine launcher, rapid fire guns with really low gauge. So it's just reached where it wants it to go, okay? Ooh, it doesn't like reaching where it needs to go, because then it can't decide if it needs to move or not. Ooh, I know what I've done. I've put the AI to not allow it to be stationary. That's the problem. So it always thinks it needs to be moving as if it's a plane. Currently, it is using a boat AI. I tried out loads of different kinds of AI, and that was the only one which really worked well. At least as the default. So that's it currently. It has a few engines at the back just for these shields. I'll add some proper shields soon as well, because these are really weak. They're at strength like 7, but they're tiny and badly angled. And really close to the craft, so an explosive weaponry is still going to go through because the explosion will be so close. So I still can't decide though if I want a separate vehicle on top, or do I want to just add to this turret I've just put down quickly just so I can tell the space of this thing. Both are good for different reasons. If it's a separate vehicle, it means we can load this thing with materials and we can heal it. But of course, the legs are likely going to be the weak point. I can always add more armor to the legs, but I kind of like the fact they're a little bit spindly at the moment, because it adds to the really derpy nature of this thing. I really love how it goes. Yep. The calf moves backwards as the leg goes forwards. I just like it. I just really like it. I know it's stupid. I know it's going to annoy some people, but I love it. Tractor beams weren't always this wobbly, right? Because that is some jiggle. Oh, well, this is... Yeah, that's not going to work. I mean, I guess we could really go with the tipsy angle of this craft. Oh, what is going on? You were working fine until just then. I'm just looking at this thing and thinking to myself, what am I doing? Which is actually what I say when I look in the mirror as well. Okay, maybe we'll just have it as its own turret then, rather than its own craft, because that is... Maybe as it gets heavier, it'll be easier to hold. I'm sure he used to lock them into place better than that. I know this looks ridiculous, because it is. It's just one of them holding another one of the older versions, one of the newer versions, because I've been testing out different things, off camera probably. And I actually quite like the concept of this though, having one turret like this with the longer barrels, and it floating above, just rocking like this, because it should, in theory, not get in the way of aiming too much if it's something like an advanced cannon. So we could have it looking something like this. Drunkenly shambling forwards with two rapid-fire cannons trying to shoot at whatever's in front of it. I actually think that would look okay. It's going to be really dumb, though. But it'd be a fun combat walker. Just one major gun or two major guns. It's actually, right now, still super cheap. And we can make a half-decent rapid-fire, low-gauge, just normal advanced cannon for a moderate price. Have them separate, have the bottom section here able to heal the top. And I think then we could march it into combat. How much do some of the smaller enemy tanks cost? Like 61k for the King Cobra. Admittedly, this isn't small, but... Well, it's not like huge either. Yeah, let's have the King Cobra as our cost maximum. At the moment, it's only like 10k for the entire base. So that'll give us like 50k for the top. And look, that's what it'll look when it's aiming. You know, I like it. I do, it's going to be so derpy, and I love that. Oh, we can make this stable so easily, but I really don't want to. I'm just hoping it doesn't get in the way. So essentially, we wanted to shamble as much as possible, while not throwing off the guns too much. Okay, first test. These shells are pretty general purpose, they're just fragment and kinetic. They should be plenty good against anything which isn't basically stacked armor, just stacked metal, several layers. So yeah, the Shrike was down very quickly there, only a few shells. But I imagine if we went a bit bigger, something like the King Cobra, then it's going to struggle a little bit. Oh, no, it's already got through. It caused an internal explosion pretty quickly there. It is shredding the metal decently quick. And there it goes. Never mind then, I'm very happy with that. I always end up going with these smaller 100mm cannons. I just find them so much easier to use. Now, admittedly, I am going to change how this looks. It kind of looks like it's wearing a hat, and I don't like that. I wanted it to be just like a proper turret, but I guess it does look like a turret. It's just these little eyes now, for some reason, so yeah. I want it to be interchangeable, so we can have it with different turret caps, so it can be cheaper versions and more expensive versions. The Drunken Walker can always have something else on top, and this is just the first version, which is going to be a general purpose advanced cannon, which should be good against, again, pretty much anything which isn't really heavily scaled. It has a 215 rounds per minute for both of them. Also, I've not seen that one before. Probably should stop spawning things I haven't seen in case I do another Ashes of the Empire campaign. It would be nice to be surprised by things. Okay. Look how it shakes. I think I have to rebalance it now, though, so it may fall over. Ignore that. It's because everything's colliding on top. Can it aim while it's like that? That's a good question, me. If it's not reloading yet. Oh, it has already scored a hit. In fact, it's scored a few hits. Yeah, no problem at all. So, even though it's jiggling around everywhere, it can still aim perfectly fine. I love it so much. Yes, this is the Lathrixian war machine. So right now, I've re-armored up the legs. Not only the outside, but the inside armor is actually a little bit better done now. We have a lot more armor in the core and in the joints, so it should be able to survive light arms fire quite easily, as long as it's not on the ankle. Yes, it literally has weak ankles. I know how stupid that is, but that's just how it is for now. The top is completely vulnerable. This turret is just a turret cap at the end of the day, and it can be replaced easily. That's kind of the whole point of this. We can replace the weapons on top, so we can have loads of different designed weapons and put them on the Drunken Shamblers nice and easily. I have, however, decided to keep the hat because it makes me kind of laugh. So, our Drunken Shambler here versus the King Cobra, one of the godly designs from the Just Wing Gypsies because it's the closest in cost. Yeah, ours is actually a fair bit cheaper. It's almost 15,000 cheaper still. And let's see. So we should be trying to circle the enemy, which should... Oh, actually, yeah, a bit further away. Oh no, I've set it so the minimum distance is a bit too close. I'm going to be running for way too long. We can heal the turret cap, as was the intention from the start, and there we go, a victory. I like that it kind of ran away at a decent speed, though. Okay, yeah, need to redo the AI, though. So what I want this thing to do is basically act like a ship or a tank in the normal AI sense, going around the target, because, again, it's going to be quite difficult to pinpoint exactly where this thing is going because of the drunken movement. Constantly changing its bearing, it's never going in a straight line perfectly. Though actually, it seems to have stabilized a bit more. Oh, of course, because I've added more weight to the bottom of the craft. Now the center of gravity is naturally trying to pull this thing down a bit. Oh, I love this thing. It's so dumb. It's getting dumber every time I add anything to it, and I love it. It looks so chaosy, and that makes me happy on the inside. Why did it try and stop then? The AI wanted to do something and changed its mind. I'm just seeing how it deals with light arms fire. The old Walker died in moments to literally the same enemies. Just from these. Most of the shots are clearly anti-aircraft, anti-very light. Oh. Though I am proving that crams have a tough time hitting this thing. I am on board, but I have turned off healing, so I'm not healing this thing. Yeah, I wonder it stopped for half a second there. For some reason, the AI wanted to do something and that messed up the breadboard. The shields this thing's got are completely worthless. We could add some munition defense, and I think that would be a smart thing to do. Man, this has survived so much longer than I expected. Oh, no, it's gone. Something just went, and it's frozen in place. It is dead. Yeah, the AI was removed. It finally managed to core it out. You know, that's not awful. That, you know, yeah, I'm okay with that. The base is only like 10,000 resources. This thing is cheap. A little seat here. A little hat. So here's one other thing we could do. There's a weird showing of it, but yeah, anti-cram missiles. They do work. These only used to be able to be used against missiles, but now, yeah, missile interceptors can now be used against cram as well. They're a bit expensive, but they don't require a particularly strong engine. I was just testing out shields and everything, and honestly, for the strength we can get in such a small craft, I don't think shields are going to be a viable thing against a lot of stuff. Oh, there you go, first hit. After a good while, though. Is the ankle broke? Can we move? No, we can still move. So that could be an option, and that could be installed in the bottom craft fairly cheaply. This is just obviously silly right now. I'm just thinking a couple of small missiles here. And then, yeah, we could have the alert system on the back and the front. Ooh, that's a good point. We're going to be running away quite a lot from the enemy or on the side. So, actually, firing up might be better. The problem is there's going to be a turret cap here. So we'd have to limit the size of the turret cap. Then maybe have the missiles along there and there. I'll figure it out. Then we'll be back in a second. And once I've done that, I think we're actually very close to calling this done. I just need to strengthen up the ankle and make sure everything works correctly. And we're done. This is a viable walker, I think, for Ashes of the Empire, at least against the first faction. And I'm really happy with that. Look at how much smaller the last walker is we made. I didn't even realise that. Yeah, I can see why people were upset with the speed. Wow. I mean, this isn't even that quick. You can make these much faster. I've seen like 50 meters and plus. Oh, the difference though. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see why people wanted a better version of that. Plus, it doesn't need to use the, You know what? I don't know if this... No, this can't be the final version though, because of the legs. They didn't break before. But it is about the same speed. Yep. Waited way too long, but it did stop them. None of them hit. Okay, yeah, so that works. That works just fine. I just need to tweak a few of the control block settings, but this is always going to be facing the enemy we're fighting. So if the enemy we're fighting has missiles or crams, it will loose this small volley of small missiles. Which sounds weird, small volley of small, but it is. It's small missiles, and there's a lot of them. Fair decent chunk, a small amount. Try to make the two vehicles look more obviously like two vehicles here, and I think I've achieved that. Because there's going to be all sorts of things on top. We could even use this as a carrier, and I know how silly that sounds. But remember, the bottom craft, when its shields are off, costs no fuel to run. None. No engine power, it's all just the spin blocks and the in-game mechanics. So if it took some helicopters or something, that could work. I just love the size difference so much. I thought this thing was way bigger than it was. I mean, I know its legs aren't extended, but still. Okay, we can have one proper battle now. I'll find something from the Onyx Watch or something of similar size, because I don't think would do that well weapon-wise. I just want to see if we can survive. If we win something, then, you know, I'm more than happy. Perfect. 54k. That's really close to us. Now, I have no idea what this actually is. Ooh, I love the decal. Ooh, what are these made of? What are these made of? What are those made of? Oh, my mimic work needs some serious work. Okay, let's make sure everything's on. I haven't changed the AI, I've just realised, to stay far enough away, but still, everything is on, and go. We did take out the crown. No, we didn't. I'm not sure if... No, yeah, we did do damage to it, just... Oh, I forgot, yeah, there are also missiles on the top turret. For a second, I thought this weren't going after the enemy at all. Yeah, these shells are not particularly good against heavy armor, like I said before. Okay, missiles, please do your job. You did? It's hard to tell. I didn't see an explosion on us. Oh, hello. That knocked us about a bit. Running away again. That's really not a great thing for us, because it's too much in a straight line. Slowly weathering the enemy's armor, but it's taking way too long. That's more an issue with the actual turret cap, though. Missiles, do you want to do your job this time, please? At least you went for it. Yeah, why do they fire so light? I've set the control to fire at 3,000 meters, and it's just refusing to do what I wanted to do. Two missiles went underneath there. That could have done something. It's hard to tell. It looks like we've shredded some of the innards there. Still running away. You can't catch me, I'm drunk! Okay, we win via 2 damaged. We are at 98% health. Oh, those missiles were disappointing. Okay. We won, but I don't care, because I'm not happy. Why did you not work properly? It's got a bobblehead. Where did I leave myself? Oh, hello. I have got healing off, so it doesn't matter if I'm on board. Okay. Yeah, so we need to make it so the AI, you know, works and goes around the target a bit earlier, and then we also need to make sure these missiles are working. I don't quite know why they're not, honestly. I've just checked the settings, and everything I want them to do, apparently it's trying to do. I don't quite get what's going wrong there. Okay, I found out what was wrong. I had the completely wrong AI installed. I, for some reason, had point at still. But not only did I have point at, my combat distance was set something ridiculous like 2,500 meters. It was never going to run that far away, so it was just going to run away forever. I mean, just circle will work, I think. Really? Yeah, use both sides. Combat altitude, we don't care. Max roll, no. Combat distance. Is there a no reverse thing or run away? Sure, I might not do for now. So this time he's trying to circle. Come on, missiles, actually do your job this time. Where did the missiles go? I meant to say torpedoes. There's just the normal missile. Did I take out the gun? I took out the gun. Okay, well that was a victory, but it's not testing what I wanted to test. Got some lucky hits straight away. Again, it worked way too short. All I can think is the problem just lies inherently with the munition warners, because they're set to maximum. Actually, are they? Am I being a right dum-dum? They don't have settings anymore on them, do they? No. Maybe I just need more. Maybe I just need more munition warners on the craft. Because the missiles clearly do the job. They stopped those crams, which were definitely going to hit us. So they're getting the job done. They're just not as effective as I wanted them to be. That's really it. Yeah, the only thing else I can think of is the rotating speed, since that does make them weaker, and obviously we are moving quite a lot. This is on a turret. So yeah, maybe it's just needing more munition warners, but the missiles get the job done, and that's the important thing. If I ever need more defense, we can just put it on the turret cap itself. This is a standing cap at the moment. The main thing today was getting these walking legs walking. So I'll have one more fight, and then we'll call it a day. I am so pleased with how this went. I got very nervous about halfway through this video thinking I'm not getting this done properly, but now actually I'm super happy with it. As fast as I would like it to be, it could be faster, but I actually wouldn't want it to be faster. Derpy as anything, and functions. Derpy and functioning. It's me. But also functioning. So I just looked back at the footage, and for a very brief moment when we looked at the munition warners, it clearly said that our range was severely reduced because of rotating speed. That is why the missiles aren't being fired fast enough. That's why they aren't going towards the crams early enough. It's because of the movement of the craft and the fact they're on the turret. So what I need to do in the future is move them off of that, and maybe I do actually need to make the craft more stable. But I refuse to do that today. Okay, so for the final fight, we're going to fight against the Bison. I was just taking a look at the sizes of the enemy. This is in the godly category of the Onyx Watch. Now, it benefits me for the enemy to be further away, so I'm going to spawn in decently close. And we'll try and get it the correct orientation as well, because what we want is it to be broadsiding as well. That's what it wants, so that's what we're going with. I have added some more munition warners. Will they work? I mean, it took out a couple of the crams there, but still super light. Yeah, the bounciness of this craft is just going to really mess things up. What we could do is just have the missiles essentially constantly firing. The interceptors, that would surprisingly work, but I don't really want that. Just take up way too much ammo, way too fast for every single fight. Okay, worked that time. Took out the main cram shell that hit us. And next cram shell, it did get taken out. I mean, that's a way to dodge the enemy. What was that? Well, our craft has gained sapience and has tipped its head at the enemy. Okay, I mean, yeah, that was way more expensive than us. We got lucky with a lot of the misses, but that's kind of the point. Against cram shells, the weird movement we have will make the enemy miss some shots, because it's difficult to figure out where the legs are going to go especially. I do think the enemy occasionally aims at the leg, and the leg is absolutely everywhere, so it can be really difficult to figure out where you're meant to shoot. No idea what happened to the turret cap then. Honestly. Maybe they're just too close, maybe the blocks clipped or something, but I think that's enough for today. I still stand by the fact that if the turret cap gets a single cram shell, it's dead, so I understand that. The turret cap's a lot weaker. The ankle's a weak spot, but everything else can definitely take at least small arms fire. We've seen that a few times. It's a frail thing, but it's free in terms of movement and fuel if the shields are off, and the shields are there purely for decoration at this point. The interceptors did work. Several of the crams would have hit, but they got intercepted even with the very limited range. I just need to do something about that, and that's it really. This thing needs a name. At the moment it is just the Shambler, as I mentioned earlier. I do like that, but I think it needs a more official name, especially if we ever do another campaign. I think if I did another campaign at the moment, it would be Ashes of the Empires, because I miss building tanks. I just said tanks, and my mind went blank. And little planes was the other thing I was going to say, because of the volume limits. Anyway, I've really enjoyed today's video. It's getting super late though now, and I do need to get some sleep. So if you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. I had so much fun today figuring this thing out. We'll probably have more stable walkers in the future so we can actually use, you know, munition warners and the like. Though there are other things you can use instead of them, so I will be looking into more options. I'm sure I'll figure out some pretty soon. But for now, I think we've done what I set out to do. It's about 50k resources, it can fight off godlies of the same size if it gets lucky, and it's decently quick with no fuel cost when it's moving. That's it. It looks a bit derpy, it looks incredibly derpy, and that makes me happy. Lovely, derpy chaos. Thank you for watching, have a lovely day, and do take care, and goodbye. Whee!